Welcome back, guys. We got a bit of a different video from our regular programming. We got an exciting new delivery that we'll unbox because there isn't many videos about that online. So here it is.
Dun dun dun.
Cool. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna unbox these. This is called the JP diesel heater. I don't know, 6DE. It's basically a copy of the Truma D6E, but it's about half the price. It came directly from China. It's about 900 quid, including delivery from Alibaba. And then it's about 210 quid for taxes when it arrives in the UK. So all in total, it's about £1,150. Compared to a Truma D6E, which is basically the same thing, is 2,500 quid. So that's the difference. That's a quick overview. And then at the end of the unboxing, we'll do a little pros and cons and other things that we looked at and why we chose this, if you're interested. So let's get into it. So you get two boxes. One is miscellaneous ducting and so on. So I'll show you that after. And then the second box is the actual heater. So let's go through the heater first. Cool, so here we are, unboxed. It comes with this, it looks like 12mm ply. It's already screwed to the 12mm ply. If you guys are familiar with the Truma D6E, it looks pretty much identical. There's a little wiring diagram of where to hook things up. This is where the hose comes out to the outside, and then you have two ducts on this side for the hot air to come out. You have two air ducts at the front here that can go to the back of the van, and you get your usual 230 volt hookup. So this can run on electric 230 volt as well as diesel. This will go out to the outside of the van. That will do the exhaust and the fresh air intake. So that's actually gonna sit right here. So I'll move that in position so you guys can roughly see how big it is. So this is gonna hook up to our 230 volt, and yeah, like I said, this is gonna come out here, and then all the air vents and so on gonna go distribute around the van. Oh, and before that, on the sides, there's your fresh water, and then that's for the diesel.
So everything has got little stickers on.
Alright guys, so we had a little bit of audio issues here. Just showing you guys what's inside the small box that was inside the big box with the heater. Alright, so the box is opened. We have the manual. I think we have some wire in this one. I'm not exactly sure what wire it is. Oh no, it's the backing plate. Cool, so that's the backing plate that goes over where you connect all the wires and so on, and it should just slot in there like so. So we have some extra cables in a box to connect some of the sensors. I think one of them is the temperature sensor for inside, so the heater can go in and, well, turn on and off based on the temperature inside and whatever you set the thermostat to be. And then we have some extra miscellaneous cables that you guys can find out what they're for when we do the installation. That's the thermostat, that piece what I'm showing here. And we'll probably mount it, I'm pointing out, just above the shower wall. And in this next package, I think we have the screen. Cool, so there's the manual for the screen. And if you guys are familiar with the Truma D6 or 4E gas version, it basically looks identical to that, and I think it has very similar functionality with the central button to change different modes from diesel to electric and so on, and some of the different temperature and timing settings.
So let's look at the accessories box. I'm not sure how much stuff you get with if you buy the Truma, but I've heard from some people that you don't get much. So I think this is a quite nice inclusion that you get with the JP, and let's see what you actually get. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but from ordering from Alibaba to arriving at our door, it was 10 days, which is pretty crazy, all the way from China with FedEx. So the accessory box, you get quite a lot of snake. Yeah, so you get this, which is the main heating duct that you can cut up and connect to the heater. and then run it wherever you want. The next thing is this, which is a double, triple pipe, which is for the external connection. So the inside pipe connects to the inside of this, and one of them is the intake, the air intake, and the other one is the exhaust. So I'll talk to you more about that when we actually install, but that's what this is for. It'll fit on there and then go outside the van. So next up you get the diesel fuel pump, which is what will pump the fuel from the tank to the heater, which will probably fit either underneath the van or somewhere underneath the driver seat. Then you get, I assume this one is either it's most likely the diesel hose, so that will connect to there and go to the pump. You get another small hose which looks like a potential diesel pipe as well, or I'm not quite sure, I'll have to look into it. Then this thing, I think this is what you're supposed to attach to the tank. So when you do the tap into the diesel tank, I think you're supposed to use this, but most likely we'll have to get a different one, but I'll talk to you more about that. Cool, you got some sort of plumbing fittings, I assume is for the water cutoff. You get a bunch of fittings, fasteners, there's a diesel fuel filter in there. So you got a lot of miscellaneous fittings and so on to get everything nicely hooked up and connected. So I'm not gonna go through everything that's in here, but as you can tell, it's quite a lot of stuff. Then you get the external exhaust vent, so this is what's going to get fitted to the side of the van. And then the last thing is you get loads of plastic air vents, which is quite nice. So these are what will be fitting inside the cabinets and so on, and you can control the airflow up or down.
So they go on the end of those?
Yeah. So these will plug in and then come out on the end of the cabinets and so on, or wherever you want to add the airflow. So you get 4 of these outlets. So there's 4 pipes coming out of the heater, and you get 4 outlets. So if you need to get more because you're splitting some pipes, then I'm sure you can order some more, but by default you get 4 of them. Yeah, so this is everything that's in the miscellaneous package. That's what's in the heater package, obviously,
and the pipe,
and all the pipes. And next up we're going to give you a little overview of why we went with this, what other things we looked at, and just give you a little ramble story time if you're interested. Right, cool guys, so that's the unboxing, and we'll just give you a little backstory of what else we looked at. So the reason why we gone with this heater is because we decided the Cas doesn't want to do gas. LPG.
Yeah, very early on we decided that we didn't want any gas. Well, I decided that I didn't want any gas. One less thing to worry about sort of sourcing when you're out on the road. This way we've just got source water and diesel, and then we can rely on our solar panels and the DC to DC charger, and then we can plug in if we need electric.
So anyway, we were going to have a pretty beefy electrics anyway. So for us, the induction cooktop works, or should work, hopefully. We kind of done the math, so it should work. We'll see. If it doesn't, you guys will see when we finish the van. So very quickly we found the main brand, which is the Truma D6E, and we had our mind set on it pretty much because it's a combi heater, so it does hot water and it does hot air in one unit. Fits nicely underneath that front bench that we've shown, so we had our mind set on it from fairly early on, even before we bought the van. So the problem didn't start until we actually looked at buying it properly.
And it was out of stock everywhere. So we looked probably in March, and we couldn't get hold of it until the end of June. And even now we've kept like an eye on it to see, and I think it's come in stock once, and it literally is on back order, and it's sold out so quickly. It's like $2.5 grand, so it's a lot of money to pay on back order. You might not get it for 4.
And also I was kind of budgeting the Truma 40, which is the gas combi version, electric and gas, which is £1,300. So that's what most people fit, and roughly in my head I had that the diesel version will cost the same, around £1,300 or £1,400. It wasn't until we actually tried to buy the D6, which is the diesel version, where we found out that the diesel version is
so
£2.5 grand, which is pretty crazy. So even $1.5 for a combi heater is pretty expensive. So when we realized that the Truma D6 is 2.5, we started looking at alternatives. So there were a few alternatives we looked at. The main one is to fit a separate small air heater, a diesel, maybe a Chinese diesel heater for a couple £100, or there are bigger brands for £500-600 of a air heater on its own, and then look at an alternative for the hot water as a separate system. You could do, I've seen some people do an electric one, but we're already running an electric induction hob, so we don't need another massive draw for the hot water. So we then looked at the next kind of best bet that we found was going hydronic, which runs off diesel and it circulates hot oil around, and it has loads of pluses. For example, you can have multiple water systems. A good channel I can link is Snow and Kurt. They have hydronic. You can have underfloor heating. You can
also Freedom Strider have done some pretty in-depth videos on it.
Oh yeah, they're fitting theirs now.
Yeah.
So it's great because it's super modular. You can have different air and water heat exchangers, so it's modular. And another great thing about it, which is why we were tempted to go with it, is you can use the hot oil that circulates that then goes through heat exchangers. You can use that to heat the pipes underneath or your tank underneath the van to winterize it, so your tanks won't freeze if you run the heater 24/7. The reason why we gone against it is because it's a bit more complicated. It's probably about similar price, maybe slightly cheaper.
I think it worked out like £100 cheaper, but that was it.
But the massive downside for us is that you can't run it on electric, as far as I know. You can only run it on diesel. So the combi heater that we bought, you can run it off 230-volt electrics. So if you're on a hookup 230, you can use the electric and you don't have to be burning diesel and making noise and smell and whatever on a site, or if you're parked up somewhere in someone's garden or whatever. It's way more convenient to have the electric. And another positive is because we have a pretty big electric system, or should have a pretty decent electric system, we'll be able to use on electric mode. We can use it in bursts.
Yeah, so we set our mind on the diesel electric heater, but we weren't sold on paying $2.5 grand and waiting a ridiculous amount of time on. So after doing loads of research about where we could find a similar or cheaper thing,
we found this.
Yeah.
And loads of people have been talking about it. We took the gamble. It was kind of risky because, you know...
It did. It took us probably about 3 or 4 weeks to actually
make our mind up about it. Because not in the UK, not that many people start using it yet. So it's not that mainstream. I know in maybe Australia, I think a lot of people have been using this brand. And there is a Facebook group specifically for this heater where you can go and read people's reviews and so on. But I think it's picking up now. So we took the gamble, we bought it, and hopefully it works out. But you guys in it for the ride. So if it's terrible, or if it breaks or whatever, we'll see. Touch wood.
So, yeah.
But yeah, let's hope it starts. So stay tuned for when we
in a few
fit
weeks.
Struggle to fit it, make sure hopefully all goes well, and hopefully it starts and it works like a charm.
Yeah.
That's it for the heating system overview. Hot water and hot air heater combi overview. And next up we'll be back to a regular scheduling.
Yeah, next week we are hopefully going to get the shower walls up, try and get that sort of on the road to being an actual shower. Right,
anyway, this is it for this video. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you have used it or know anyone that used the JP heater, combi heater. And yeah, if you guys know anything about this stuff, or let us know what you plan on using in your build.
And see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.